Welcome to the Dark Side of Soul podcast. This is Joe.
This is Sean.
Thank you for joining us for the second part of our series, our 4-part series on serial killer Yoo Young-chul. Again, pointing out we're really not glorifying this guy. In fact, you find out the more we dig into this, we're going to I kind of wished he was listening to this.
Right.
And translate it into Korean, because we're kind of tearing you a new one, and you're not as great as you think you are, dude. So anyway, we're not glorifying this at all. And we're hoping to honor the victims and examine more about what was going on at the time. Now, on the other hand, I was worried about doing this because my OCD kicked in. And I obsessively researched this motherfucker for 3 weeks now. I spent my entire last Saturday 6 hours, like 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock Saturday, rather than spend time with my family. I was researching, trying to pinpoint on a map, which you will get on the website if you go to darksideofsoul.com, exactly where most of the murders took place, including where he lived when he was committing the murders that we're going to talk about today. What I did was, I'm sorry, I'm going to brag a bit about my research methods. I was tracking down news video of 2003 when this was going on. And what I would do is I was hunting for any time an address showed up in the frame of the video.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would hunt for that address. And then what I would do is I would go to the street view and compare that street view to the video to make sure I was in the right place. I've gotten out of last week's show, I got everyone but the Hyewa location. The Hyewa location, I think I got it close, but I haven't quite pegged it. And out of all of them I found so far, everything's been demolished except the one in Gugidong. Gugidong still exists, that house. So whoever's living there is living in a haunted house right now.
That's something that I've been meaning to look into, and I should. I never have an excuse not to look it up, other than being busy with other research. But I'm not sure if in Korea, if a murder takes place in a house, and then of course they put it up on the market, are they required by law to tell you what happened there? Okay.
From what I'm reading from Korean cafes, I don't think so, unless something's changed recently. Not legally, because okay, one thing I found, I did track down the actual location where Yoo Young-chul lived when he was committing these murders. How I found this out, because I was assuming as soon as that happened that they were going to tear down that building, and it was true. I was reading reports where the landlord of that building said he couldn't survive anymore because no one wanted to rent apartments in that building. So he had to sell it to developers, and they tore it down. So what I was doing was I was checking out, again, news videos of that time. This is really weird. I'm going to bring this up next week. It was strange that the police let the media into Yoo Young-chul's apartment soon after he was discovered. It's a crime scene, and they were letting the media in. And so I actually have photos which I will post on the website sometime. I have photos of the interior of this guy's apartment and where the murders happened. You see his clothes neatly lined up and everything. It's really creepy. So I got a screen grab of the outside of the building, and I remember at the bottom was a hongochip, which is a fermented skate restaurant. Not a popular place unless you're really into fermented skate.
Ugh, hongo is gross.
Which I'm actually one of the few people who enjoys it. I actually kind of like it. I'm weird. I'm strange, but that's only because I made myself eat it enough until I liked it. And now it's not about like the first thing I would get on the menu, but if I see it on the menu, I will order it. Because I'm gross. I'm weird. I'm disgusting. Whatever.
Yes, you are.
So I was
look at the work that we do, Joe. Look what we do for a living.
yeah. Look what we do. I'm gross.
Yes.
I'm weird.
And you eat hongo on top of all that.
I'm a food writer too.
There you go.
It's an acquired taste, but once you acquire it, it's actually something you kind of appreciate. It's like licking a urinal. So I was checking out, I was researching Korean language, what they call cafes, like Reddit boards. Mm-hmm. And I found one where someone had scanned a business card. I looked at the business card and it was the exact same name of the fermented skate place as the one in that freeze frame, the screen grab I got. I went, oh, this is good. And on the card was the address of the restaurant, which meant that was the same address as the building Yoo Young-chul lived. And so I've tracked it down. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go on our website, darksideofseoul.com/podcast, look for this episode or all the episodes, and I'll link to the map. I've tracked down exactly where he lived. This is the dark thing. Now, if you're really into dark tourism, a lot of the places where the murders happened have been demolished and rebuilt. And on the first floors of a lot of these places are places you can have dinner and drinks. So you can do, if you want to, a dark tour where you have dinner and drinks in places where ghastly murders were committed.
The Yoo Young-chul.
Not my thing, but if you're interested, I went through the trouble of pegging down exactly where those places are.
A lot of people do that. The murder tours, consider the scope of dark tourism, and we've been talking about doing an episode on dark tourism.
We're gonna bring on other guides for dark tourism around the world. I really want to do that.
The scope of dark tourism now involves things like that. You know, not only going to places where murders took place, but spending time there, going to a nearby restaurant, especially if a restaurant or a coffee shop is in the location, like you said, like on the first floor.
I'm not critical of it. I'm not totally critical of it. I honestly, I kind of personally want to take pilgrimages to each one of these sites to kind of pay tribute to the victims, to the dead. I kind of want to go to each one of these and just kind of pay tribute to them. Because the more I read about this, the more I'm in a dark space right now. I'm really in a dark space. There's some stuff I'm really trying to clear up, and I'm trying to go through it down. Gyeonggi-dong, they're still around. The child in Haewadong was 1 year old.
Oh, you did find you found the age. Okay.
I found that one out.
So that a year old. So that they'd be now still not 20. They'd be in their late teens. True.
The murder that happened in Samsung-dong, I did say Happy Church. May not have been completely correct. It was more likely what is now Hyundai Church. Start with an H. That is in the map. But I just wanted to clear that one up as well. I think that was the main parts that I was missing from last time. I'm sure there's something from his childhood that I was missing. But whatever. No one's doing biographies of my childhood. Why should I do biographies of his childhood?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's completely fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So moving on to his actual victims. Well, this kind of like stage 2. He entered phase 2 of his murders.
Yeah. So where we last left off was he went through a string of murders through the fall, early winter of 2003, where he was entering Jutek, separate houses, standalone houses in Seoul, which you would know in Seoul, if you have a standalone house, you likely are wealthy because real estate is extremely expensive here. And so he would climb over the walls and murder the people, and he was targeting senior citizens in the middle of the day when people are not around because he's a fucking coward. But his last one in November of 2003, November 18th, in Haewadong, which I'm trying to track down exactly where this was. I'm getting different places, but it likely a little northwest of Haewa Station.
The road.
Yeah, I got it on the map right now at this one location. I think that's it, but some things aren't syncing up with the video grabs I got. Anyway, he was caught on CCTV. Now that's the funny thing is the screen grab I got from the CCTV is very similar to a street view photo I have of that similar area. Now keep in mind we're now 17 years away, 18 years away from when these murders happened. So lots of things have changed. If you know anything, Seoul completely changes in 6 months, much less 17 years, 18 years. So things change a lot. So he was really freaked out by the CCTV footage. So he stopped breaking into these places because he's really worried about getting caught. This is what a lot of articles and papers I've read have considered. They've called it the gap period. He was originally living in a Goshiwon, which is like a tiny like dorm room over in Shinsudong and Mapogu. And so he moved to this one room office tower in Nogosandong, which, like I just said before, is... Well, I tracked it down. It's a little southwest of Sinchon Station. I think it's near the Grand Mart. I think that's what it's called. The Grand Mall. It's southwest.
Near the Rotary?
Yes, it's right off the Rotary.
Right off the Rotary, yeah. There's a couple of big ones there. This is why, like, when all these murders were happening, so like in Haehwa, I mentioned last time, that's where my girlfriend at the time was going to university.
Yeah. And
so she was going to university in the area where murders happened. I lived in Ilsan at the time. She lived in Hanam City, east of Seoul. So neither of us lived in Seoul.
Mm-hmm.
And so we used to often meet in Sinchon.
Oh, wow.
So we were in, she was going to university, and I'd sometimes we'd hang out in Haehwa a lot because it's a cool neighborhood. It is.
It is a good area.
Yeah. And we hang out in Sinchon all the time. And all these, we were always in the areas where the murders had taken place.
Yeah. You definitely weren't the targets though.
No, of course not.
You could have fought back against this asshole.
But I mean, like that, but it freaked everyone out. It was such a frightening time.
Yeah. Yeah. So he started continuing his little cosplay where he's pretending to be. He liked to dress up like he was a police officer and pretend he's Superintendent Che from the Informant Division of the Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency. He continued to do this to get his money. He would extort money from people he thought were outside of his moral code. So he would go after pornographers and such. And so what he did was he did separate his theft activities from his murder activities. He really kept them separate. If you notice, he did not steal money from his murder victims.
Yeah.
And aside from one time, he didn't murder anyone he stole stuff from.
And I remember when all that was revealed, like he was not stealing anything. There was just murders took place and nothing was stolen. And I'd be talking with my friends like, what's going on? It's so strange. No one could, of course, the police didn't know what he was doing. They were being thrown off. It was his
really warped moral code that he come up with for himself, his fantasy that he created for himself. Yeah. That he felt that he was some type of vigilante Batman. Whatever. This is why I don't.
And we should.
Yeah.
Don't trust Batman.
I don't trust Batman.
Don't trust Bruce Wayne. It's worth pointing out too that extortion from police officers at that time was on the decline, but it was still fairly common. I heard a lot of stories about.
Yeah. Okay. Good point.
Korean buddies, especially saying, like late at night, they'd just be driving home, and a motorcycle cop would pull them over, and the cop would come over and he'd say, "Open your door." And they'd open the door and he'd lift up the cop would lift up his right leg and put it on the bottom frame of the door.
Mm-hmm.
Then pull down the zipper of his boot. And you look inside and the boot's full of money.
Oh God.
Yeah. So you take out your wallet, put, whatever's in your wallet into his boot. He zips it up and he walks away. You close the door and that's it. You go on. And
then you wonder why there's a general distrust of authority.
Yeah, and that was part of the now, and it's been like this for at least 20 years. The police really tried a lot to change their image, and so that's why it's
the other extreme really now.
Yeah, right. So, and that's why their mascots are cute.
Yeah, that was cute. My image of the Korean police right now is skipping through the fields with the dandelion in their mouths. Just don't do anything.
So, so for anyone who's not sure, extortion from cops was fairly regular on the decline around 2003, 2004, but still not unheard of.
Yeah. Around this time, around December, I put in my notes December 11th, 2003. He was dating a young woman, 27 years old. Her last name was Kim. They met through, well, we will use this term a lot, called a bodobang. Now, to me, in my horrible Korean, I read that as seeing room, but it's been translated as prostitution type of thing. Phone room. It's been translated as. It's a front for prostitution. He met her through the bodobang. And they actually started becoming an item. They were dating, or she was seeing him regularly. They actually started living together in this office tel, which is really a tiny place, right near Sinchon station. He's really falling. They were living together for like 2 months. There was a time he was traveling. There was a period he was traveling around southern Korea, around Busan and Gwangju. And when he returned, he gave his girlfriend some jewelry. And he said he found it from a shopping bag that was lying around. Because, that's what romantic guys do. Hey, babe, look what I found off the street. Let me give it to
Look
you.
at this. Look at this great pearl necklace I found in the trash.
Yeah.
First thing I thought it was you.
Yeah.
So I love you.
Yeah. So he proposed to her. And in proposing, he kind of revealed his background that he was previously married, which is a big no-no in Korea back in those days. And that he had a criminal background. Even bigger no-no. And so she kind of rejected him. In fact, it didn't really help that in January 2004, he was also arrested and held 2 days for a minor theft charge because, theft is an addiction for him. We find this over and over again is he keeps stealing stupid small stuff.
Klepto.
He's a klepto. He has an addiction issue. He never steals anything big, really big. I mean, there's no like Ocean's 8 thing going on with this guy. It's more like him stealing a pack of gum. And he
probably
gets
feeling
caught.
but probably feeling really proud when he got away with
stealing a pack of gum.
His pack of xylitol for 1,000 won, worth 1,000 won. Yeah.
Just this guy. And then he gets, I'm sure he's done it before and he just got caught that time. So he was held for 2 days. And I think that's when the truth came out. In February 29th, which was a leap year, 2004, he found out that she had been seeing another man because she's a Bodobang girl. Sorry for the pejorative term, but that's her job, is to see people. They get paid to see people. And I think there was a miscommunication on the level of what their relationship was. They had an argument when he found out. Also, it didn't really help that whenever they had sexual relations, his supposed girlfriend asked for payment every time. Or maybe that was normally how it was, and he was just perceiving it a different way. Very likely that was what was going on. So he was really upset. And so he tied her up and raped her for 36 hours. Because that's what you do when you're in love. Please catch my sarcasm on that one. He did something with pruning shears. I could not find out exactly what that was. It was just pruning shears. And he said something to the effect of, "It's not a big deal to kill a child like you. Do you think there is no perfect crime? Many. I've done a lot of things that will never be caught." Some people have speculated that this meant that he had killed women in the past during this gap period. So that's the thing, is this gap period, because later on people were trying to connect some murders in Southern Korea to him, or he was trying to connect it to him,
which is not uncommon. Like, a lot of serial killers tend to exaggerate their kills. They say they killed a lot more because they
it's competitive. So it really fucks her up. She actually becomes hospitalized. She never wants to see him again. He gets obsessive, sends apologetic texts to her, and she gets upset. She just changes her address and her phone number. And so this is when he decided to target other women from Bodobang. If I can't kill you, I'll kill people that are like you, is his thinking. This is the nasty part. And a lot of times this is Bodobang are translated as business trip massage therapists, which in my mind says a lot more thing about how business is done in Korea than anything.
Yeah, it's a euphemism. Like they're
it's like expected for married men on business trips to have happy ending massages or other relations. It's considered normal. This is the disturbing thing for me. This is why I'm doing this. Is I'm not talking about. I mean, this loser of a human being is the focus of this, but it kind of is an element of the chewy nougat layer outside of him of that is Korean society. And that this does exist, that they're just that prostitutes are called business trip massage therapists, as in it's that common to expect a businessman, usually married, to call on these services, to the point that this was the translation of this term. Nonetheless, a lot of the women, they keep saying, because this is the way the media works here, they were trying to demote them as they were all working in the sex industry. Some of the friends of the victims really adamantly claim that their friends were not in the industry. They like one of them was a housewife, another one was a skin therapist. We don't know. Again, women working in this industry, I do not have a very strong judgment of them. Whatever, pay your way through college or whatever. Do what you do. Do what you do in a society, especially in 2004, was as misogynistic as this, in which it was really women's opportunities were very limited. Do what you can, girl. Anyway, so Yoo Young-chul targeted what he called small beauties who were similar to his wife. If a woman was too tall or too chubby, he would not do anything with them. He would not even bring them to his house. And there were practical reasons for that, because tall women were very difficult to chop up in his bathroom. Chubby women were too heavy to dispose of. Practical. During this period, he was doing a lot of research on more efficient ways to kill and dispose of the bodies. And he also this time he was starting to steal a little bit of money from his victims. So we're going to begin with February 6th, 2004 in Imundong. Just for vanity reasons, I want to point out February 6th, 2004 was the exact day I landed at Incheon Airport when I first came to Korea. A 25-year-old woman worked at a clothing store in Imundong in Dongdaemun-gu. Dongdaemun, where the deflated beach ball Dongdaemun Plaza is. He said,
not then, but yeah.
But not then. It was a dilapidated baseball stadium that was used as a flea market.
You're right. Cool spot.
He later said he approached a woman walking through an alley and pretended he was a police officer checking passersby. And he said a woman was fleeing and he stabbed her to death because he thought she was a prostitute. It wasn't him. He was just lying about that. So just to clear this up, because some people think that the Imundong murder was him. It was not. It was another guy named Jung Nam-gyu, which I'm sure we're going to do an episode of sometime.
Right. And at that time, Jung was kind of starting his murders right around that time. He was
clumsy. Because Yoo Young-chul figured out from his dog experiments on a mountain, stabbing causes too much problems. It makes people scream, and it creates too much of a mess. that's why Yoo Young-chul went to his hammer, like Peter, Paul, and Mary style. If I had a hammer. I'm sorry. Well, I didn't grow up in the 60s. Only people in the 60s would catch that reference. Okay. Anyway, Jongnam-gyu. Guy killed 13 people. So this is another thing I found interesting as well as researching motherfucker Yoo Young-chul. There were other serial killers going on at this time, and I was just talking to my wife tonight. It was like 2003, 2004, 2005. There were a lot of serial killers going on. What was going on with Korea at the time?
There were a lot of, yeah. And yeah, it was a really, and prolific as well. A lot of them. They weren't just like the lowest or the fewest amount of murders to allow a person to be categorized as a serial killer, which is like 3, I think it is.
Yeah.
No, like you said, like Jongnam-gyu is 13. I thought it was 14 murders, but anyway,
could
13
be.
or 14. Yeah, 13 or 14. And some of these are really prolific serial killers right in the early 2000s.
What was it about this time? And I have a few questions about this. Okay, about what was it about this time? And later on, why did it move south? I noticed this pattern. It moved starting from Sinchon, moved to Shilimdong, which I was living there at the time, in what we call Shitlimdong, but now Shilimdong is like a posh like department store area. But at the time I lived there. Nonetheless, Shilimdong, Great Sundae Bokum. Sundae Bokum. Oh my God. I got a video on zinkimchi.com from way back then in 2005, around where some of the mass murders were happening, but we don't have that caught on film. We do have an electrical fire caught on film on that one. Even though I was working a shitty job at that time, I kind of cherished my short little time in Shilimdong because it was a shitty part of the city at the time. And I kind of really liked that. I really liked being in the midst of the real Seoul at that time.
Yeah. I went to Shilimdong quite a bit. And I don't think I've been to Shilimdong probably like last time was around 2005, maybe. Probably.
Yeah. It was shitty back then.
Yeah, I've probably passed through, but I didn't get out and look around the part of town.
Okay, because I'm also a food writer. Little trivia about Shilimdong. If you ever heard of the cheese dungabi craze, the habit of putting cheese on top of ribs, that started in Shilimdong.
Pizza cheese, but
the Korean tendency to throw cheese on spicy food started in Shilimdong at this one place in, oh God, I forget the name off the top of my head. I went there. The guy is super cool. The food is effing amazing, by the way.
Okay, I'm going to have to rein you in, Joe. We're talking about food.
I'm sorry. But anyway, it was smoky ribs covered in cheese, and it's just spicy. Burn a nuclear hole in your butthole, but it was so good. Okay. Anyway, that's in Shilimdong. It's still, as far as I know, it still exists. Anyway. And Shilimdong is part of Korean history more than serial murder. It is the start of the cheese craze in Korea.
Right.
Sorry. I got distracted. And I was also getting distracted by talking about a murder that had nothing to do with Yoo Young-chul. Other than he tried to claim credit for it because he's a stupid motherfucker. 3 days after February 6th, February 9th, which is where I'm still trying to get over my jet lag. Because if you haven't figured out, the world does revolve around me, you know. So this is near a motel in Gansok-dong and Namdong-gu in Incheon. A prostitute was called to a motel by payphone, because back then we had payphones because cell phones weren't that heavily used.
Still have them up here.
There are still some payphones, which is I find is really cool.
Mm-hmm. We had a new one just installed.
Great. That's
I don't
great.
know who's used, and it's because there's mostly elderly people in this area. I think that's why a lot of them don't have cells.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So he uses Che cosplay thing. Uses fake police ID because he was an artist, so he's able to really create pretty good fake IDs. He approached the pimp and the prostitute. He handcuffed them and extorted only 100,000 won, which is like less than $100 from them.
Especially in those days, it wasn't very much.
It still wasn't even that much. I mean, he's such a fucking petty thief. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, first he started 100,000 won. He called the pimp, handcuffed the pimp to the woman, and extorted another 290,000 won out of them. This will come into play later, as in next week's show. Please, again, put that in the top left corner of your memos. Please keep. There's a lot of things in mind. Okay, so I'm going to explain a little bit about how bodobang works back in the day. I don't know if they still work. I don't know. I've never tried this because I have no reason to. Because I have an amazing wife. Anyway, so the way bodobang worked, it's not like a prostitution thing. It's not like Little Whorehouse in Texas. It's not like you have a bunch of ladies waiting around for something to happen. It works more like recruiters do, tech recruiters do. Prostitution is the same as tech recruiters. So the client calls the HQ. The HQ has a list of numbers, and they will call the lady, and they will give the client's contact info. Then the lady will go to meet the customer, and then when she meets the customer, she actually makes contact. She will send a text to the pimp saying, "Oppa, I have arrived." Then, when she finishes her job, she's able to witness that 150,000 won was deposited into a designated bank account. At that time, those services were 150,000 won, in case anyone's wondering. She will send a text to the pimp and say, "Oppa, it's been deposited." They never actually meet the oppas. They never actually meet them at all. My phone is going nuts. What the hell are you doing? All right, whatever. Hey, you know what it is? It's our Facebook page is going nuts right now. Anyway.
And visit us on Facebook.
Facebook.com/darksideofsoul. An active Facebook page that interrupts us in the middle of our podcast. Thank you, Facebook page. So supposedly, Yoo Young-chul would give an extra 50,000 won and call the owner to make sure that it was deposited. I mean, the guy was really working hard to cover his tracks. To create no suspicion. 2004, March 16th. Yoo Young-chul calls the bodobang, and he meets a woman named Kwan, 23 years old. Tells her to meet in front of Sodaemun-gu shopping mall. He posed as a police officer busting prostitutes. So he used his fake ID and some handcuffs he had bought at Namdaemun Market. And because of this, he was able to get people off guard, off kilter, and he was able to take her to his office cell with no resistance. He didn't pay her, but he grabbed her by her hair and dragged her to the bathroom. And she tried to escape, and he strangled her. So this might be the only murder he did without the hammer. He strangled her to death. And so he had this new challenge because before he was going to other people's houses and he was leaving the bodies there. Now he has this new challenge of body disposal because he can't keep the body in his apartment. He lives in a small place. His only tools he had was his trusty jackknife, a hacksaw, and scissors. Now he had been studying on the internet, likely naver.com. Sorry. I'm so mean. So he first used a hacksaw, but he found out he became more efficient with the knife. I hate saying this, but yes, I have dismantled animals for meat. The knife is way more convenient than a hacksaw if done properly. He had studied anatomy from the internet, and yeah, so that's how he made his butcher plan. So first thing he did was he removed the head with the jackknife. Then he hung the head on the trash can next to him while it drained all the blood, and he cut up the rest of the places. So while he is cutting up the body, the head is supervising him. This is the sick stuff going on.
Yeah, that's creepy to think about. He's in a bathroom, probably in the shower, like in the stall.
Those of you with strong stomachs, Sean, you haven't seen this yet. I have photos of the bathroom. I will post it on the website. Please, NSFW. Or, I don't know. It's not really NSFW, but really be cautious looking at this. Because I will also have pictures of blood stains on the ceiling. Stuff like that. It's very disturbing stuff. Just be prepared if you go to our website for this. I'm sorry.
If you've already seen the photos before listening to the podcast, Joe is sorry.
If you've already seen the photos, then you're an obsessive motherfucker, man. You gotta get out more often, or stay in more often. Actually, we're kind of worried about you, Buffalo Bill. Anyway, yeah, this is me assuming that our listeners are potential serial killers. Yes, great. While Angel is listening to us in her bathtub. So he would cut off the limbs, the arms, legs, and the torso. This is the creepy stuff. He would listen to all this. He would do this all in the shower while listening to the soundtrack of the film no one ever watched of 1492 Conquest of Paradise, starring Gerard Depardieu. And the soundtrack was by Vangelis, who also did the Chariots of Fire theme.
Right. And just quick, I remember right around the time when I first came to Korea, there were a lot of the, Joe, you'll know, a lot of them still exist, the underground shopping centers.
Yes, I would go to that in Yongsan.
In the one in Yongsan and place. So a lot of them are been shuttered, but quite a few of them still exist. But a lot of
they're gone. Ones, they're all gone.
Yeah. There's there's the one near Uljiro, like that's still active, and the one near City Hall, just under City Hall. They're just not as active as they used to be, but they always had music shops. And they would always have the poster to 1492 up on their wall.
Oh, really? For me, it was the Mission. The Mission. Everyone
that was another one.
Because I actually did buy a what is it called? A VCD. Wow, but that was a very temporary format. It was a VCD, which was a video CD, not a DVD, but a video that could fit on a CD, which would use multiple CDs for this. And I actually bought a pirated copy of The Mission, which is a movie I still love, despite Korea going overboard with that soundtrack. Jeremy Irons, gorgeous movie about European imperialism gone awry, like it usually does.
Right, in Robert De Niro, isn't it?
Robert De Niro's in that. Yes, he plays he plays the asshole Spaniard. Yeah, amazing.
Anyway.
In fact, anyway, great movie. If no one's ever watched it, and I'm not a crazy like Oscar movie type of person. This is one that will change your life. That's a great movie. And I used to have the soundtrack when I was a teen. It's such a great soundtrack. Everyone knows that soundtrack. Anyway, he played 1492, which is not related to the mission at all. He would play that while he would cut up the parts and divide them into 10 small black plastic bags. And then he would put those 10 bags into 4 larger plastic bags. Now, all this time, in order to get rid of the blood, he had to keep the shower running the whole time. Now, keep in mind, his office till at the time had a 3 million won deposit, which is very low for the middle of Seoul, even at that time. Rent was only 400,000 won per month. Again, middle of Seoul. Oh my God, I could dream of rent that small.
That's very cheap. Even then.
Even Jeonsei, that is tiny. And Jeonsei is when you put in like a 150,000 won deposit. His water bill was the same amount as his rent. 400,000 won a month. $400 a month, guys. Do you have a water bill that's $400 a month? Don't answer me, California people. Stop it. All right. So after he divided everything up into bags, he would take a taxi to okay, on my thing it said Sanwon Daehungdong Mapogu. Anyway, it's Sogang University. I pinpointed exactly where it is. It wasn't really far from his place. He could have walked there if he wanted to. And what's spooky is, like, I've looked at the street view, and they actually have the street view going through not only where cars can go, but the footpaths in the mountain. So you get really pretty close to where he buried these body parts behind the library of Sogang University, under a tree. What he would do, though, he would not bury the bags. He would just dump them out of the bags because he knew the bags would have his fingerprints on them. So he would just dump the body parts out of the bags and he would keep the bags.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know, Sogang University, to the north of the park of the campus, and maybe part of the campus. I'm not sure if the university owns it. There's a big park, and I'm assuming that's where he did the burying.
It was right behind the library.
Yeah. Okay. I think the library is towards I've been to that campus, and I've been to the park. And I did. It was after the murders, and I had no idea that's where he. At the time, I didn't know that's where he had buried some of the bodies, or parts. But I do. The library is up towards that park.
Yeah. That was his first test case. He got away with it. So that was March 16th. Move ahead almost full month later into April 13th. He was doing his usual thing as posing as Officer Che, extorting money from pornographers. This time he was in Hwangak-dong in Dongdaemun-gu. Going back to Dongdaemun, because it was a creepy area at the time. Up until recently, really was a creepy area. There was a man named An. His last name was An. That's all I know him as. I don't know his other name. I don't know the rest of his name. It's An, age 44. He was selling pornography and fake Viagra in front of Baeksang Plaza Pharmacy. On the first floor of the Samyong building, if you really want to track this down. And I've heard mixed things. I heard that some people said that Yoo Young-chul was pissed off that the guy sold him fake Viagra. He was getting revenge, or he was just doing his usual thing of trying to extort money out of pornographers. Anyway, Mr. An had packed his wares for the day and he was heading to his Vesta van. Yoo shows his fake police ID, accused him of violating the Pharmaceutical Affairs Act. Handcuffed him and put him in the passenger seat. He handcuffed him to the door. An became suspicious because he had a history of run-ins with the law, and he knew how to fake a fake ID, but he was playing along at the time, but then again, he was handcuffed to the door. So Yoo Young-chul got the keys and drove An's van while An's hand was handcuffed to the door. An knew definitely by then something was up. An also knew that police usually work in pairs. Why was this guy by himself? Something screwed up. I think Yoo was just trying to extort money, but his cover had been busted, so Yoo decided this guy had to die at this point. So Yoo drove to a hospital parking lot near his office tail in Shinsu-dong, Mapogu. At first he seemed like he was going to extort money. He assured An that he would let him go. But he just went back. All Yoo Young-chul was doing was going back to his apartment to get his murder weapons, his famous hammer and knife, and came back. He parked at Saegang Orthopedic Surgery Clinic, which I think doesn't exist anymore. But he parked back there because there would be less witnesses. Got out of the van with his black bag, went around to the back seat. He got into the back seat of the van, grabbed An's face from behind, stabbed him in the neck and the head. Seemed like An was dead, so he just laid him down and he laid him down on under the back seat. While he was laying him down, An kicked him out of desperation. And so Yoo stabbed him again in the thigh and tried to cover him up with the bag. Then he beat his head with the hammer 20 times. I have a photo of the hammer on the website. 20 times with this thing. And in the process, he cut himself. So, like with the Hyewadong apartment problem where he had some blood going around, he decided to torch everything. So he wanted to torch the van. So he put newspapers and clothes around Mr. An. He went to his apartment to clean up and change his clothes, but he couldn't torch the van right next to his apartment. So he drove way off to Wolmi-do, which is like this I want to say I think it's an island off of Incheon. I think I've been there. They have really good jogekui. Back to food. It's really good for grilled shellfish.
We talked about Walmido in one of our how like it was held by North Korea. We talked about it.
Okay. Anyway,
remember? And it's a resort park. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
So MacArthur had his. We talked about it in one of our. I don't remember which episode, but talking about the Korean War.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So it was around 1 a.m. Drove to a place called Samho Petroleum gas station. It went to the parking lot over in Buksondong Junggu in Incheon. He put the wrist. He cut off the guy's wrist with the handcuffs. Put him in a black bag. And he tried to throw him in the water, but they ended up in the rocks, the breakwater in front of Wolmi-do Huetown, which is like a Korean sashimi place, which is 300 meters away. So he's doing this to hide the victim's identity. He didn't want people to know who he was. He parked the car between two gas tanker trucks, and he tried to set it all on fire to create an explosion. Because, like I say before on my tours, he seemed to have watched a lot of 80s movies.
18.
Yeah. They didn't work. So he just burnt the car and the body. Later on, this is one of the more public ones of his second half of his career. The family was devastated when they found out about Mr. On's fate. It gained a lot of publicity. It's really sad. 7 months later, Mr. On's brother committed suicide. And then 8 months after that, Mr. On's youngest brother committed suicide. The last remaining brother of Mr. On has attempted suicide and is barely living with psychiatric treatment. Mr. On's wife and children cut off ties with their in-laws and have disappeared. So just pointing out, this one act devastated an entire family. Just pointing that out. Go ahead to May 2004. By then, Yoo was established in his office tel, made a call to another service in Seoul, arranged to meet in front of the SK Telecom next to the Green Theater in Sinchon. All that still exists. He met with a woman called Kim Hee-sun, who was 25 years old. Convinced her to go to his house. Now, this is where things are kind of back and forth. I am not sure if they had sex or not. I've read that he had sex with one of his victims. I've heard others that he had sex with all of his victims. I'm leaning on the side that he only had sex with one of his victims because that was not his thing. He was into women, but he wasn't into... I think he separated sex from his murders. But he was very intimate. That's the one other thing I really heard. He was very intimate with his victims before he killed them. He would have long like with them about their childhoods and their backgrounds before he killed them.
It's very, very odd. Like he's getting to know them. It's almost like he was committing to memory their lives. He'd be the last vessel for their lives, their memories. Very, very bizarre.
Yeah, possible. So, supposedly in this one, they did do the deed. She went to the restroom afterward, to the bathroom, and he humorously tickled her. And, when you tickle, you kind of curl up into a ball. While she was curled up in a ball, he took out the hammer and struck her. While she was still alive, he took out the jackknife and decapitated her. Like the victim before, he dismantled her. This time, he took one extra step and cut off her fingertips with scissors and flushed them down the toilet to prevent identification. With her, he buried her around the wall of a residential area behind the construction site of where charcoal sauna was being built over in Bongwon-dong, Seoul. This is on the map, by the way. I tracked this down. The charcoal sauna has changed names, but it's still a charcoal sauna. And it's next to a Buddhist temple. So now he's no longer defiling Christian gods, he's defiling Buddhist gods.
And it's very worth pointing out that Bongwon Temple, where he did bury victims, is as not the current temple buildings, but the temple itself dates to the 9th century.
Yeah, they've done a lot of building and since then. A lot of construction has been going on in that area since then.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, it's a very, very, very historic site, very important to the Taego order of Buddhism in Korea. It's very significant. And now it has this specter that's always kind of over it a little bit, that Yoo Young-chul buried some victims there.
If you go to the charcoal sauna, which looks really cool, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. I love charcoal saunas. Now the previous one. Okay, now that was sometime in May. I've not found a specific date, but this one I found a specific date, May 7th, 2004. Victim's name is Shin Mina, age 25. Again, this is just sad. Yoo Young-chul went to a PC room near Green Theater in Sodaemungu. And supposedly, I think he fell asleep there because a lot of people do that. They go to these PC bangs and they fall asleep there. They use it as napping places. When you're out drinking late at night, there are these places, spas, PC rooms you would go to just kind of spend the night so you don't have to spend the money for a hotel room. Then again, he's right next to his apartment, so he wouldn't need that place as a place to sleep. I think he just fell asleep.
Right. Yeah, it's weird.
So he spied a woman in there who was sending what looked like discreet messages to meet as if it was a prostitution thing. Likely it wasn't.
Yeah.
You did his Officer Che thing with his fake ID, brought her to the office tel, murdered her, same thing. So by this time he started getting into more of a routine. And he also started this method of he would stroke the victim's hair and say goodbye, annyeong, before he struck her with the hammer. June 2nd, 2004. Han Suk-cha, 35 years old. He does the bodobang thing, calls the bodobang, arranges to meet her behind the Hyundai department store in Sinchon, and he coaxes her to his place if he pays her more money. Now, some of my sources say that they had sex. Do not know. He asks her to shower with him and strikes her with a hammer in the bathroom. Again, shows this tendency to strike right when he's showing tenderness and intimacy.
So strange.
It sounds more like the surrogate for the woman who dumped him. Right.
And again, like that meeting place, Hyundai department store in Sinchon, just an epicenter of meeting. That's where like I would meet so many people there. Like, going to hang out in Sinchon tonight? Yeah, okay, I'll meet you behind Hyundai.
Yeah,
it was where you either met at the top of the road at the highway at the T junction across the street from Yonsei University, or you met at the subway station near the Rotary, or you met behind Hyundai department store,
or like in front of the Burger King in Itaewon.
Or there you go. Or in Sinchon, that people would meet in front of McDonald's, right? That was the other location.
Well, to this day in Hongdae, you meet in front of the KFC.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You do. A lot of people don't even know which gate it is. They're like the KFC gate. They don't know the number. Yeah. The KFC gate. Yeah.
Anyway, June, one more month. This victim, I've not found anything, so I have her as unidentified. Same thing. Met her behind a clock tower of Hyundai department store in Sinchon. Same thing.
And that just freaks me out. Like when all this information was becoming public, I was like, I was there so many times. I was there almost every weekend.
Were you there at June 9th at 5 a.m.?
Not 5 a.m. No, but I mean, he was there, like in a city that big, I guess, the chances were very slim, but at the same time, I was there so often. Sinchon was my,
if you ever go to Sinchon, even to this day, even with Corona and everything, it is a busy place. And it is, I like Sinchon for this because it is kind of a time capsule of Korea, of modern and and the grungy part. It is the fancy part and the grungy part. Yes, you have Hyundai department store, which is super fancy, super modern. Just 1 or 2 blocks behind it, you have Love Motel Alley.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The old style. That's old Korea. 60s Korea. Yeah.
But you would even see love motels, they're not even covering up what they're used for. There's one place where their logo is a guy doing a woman from behind.
Jesus.
That's their logo. Anyway. June 9th, my sister's birthday. 2004, woman named Jang Kwan. 5 a.m., Yoo Young-chul called for her. She was 26 years old. That's why there's a precise time known, because they knew they were able to log his phone call. Again, he posed as Officer Che, threatened her, fake ID, handcuffed her, took her to the office tel. Same thing. This is when he starts getting really addicted, because this is becoming a weekly thing by now. It's
become very prolific.
Yeah. It's becoming, it's like there's a cycle psychiatrists say that these guys go through, is they go through this and then they get this deep depression, and the only way to get out of this depression is to kill again. So a week later, a little bit over a week later, June 17th, 10 p.m., Kim Ji-ho, you again called the Bodobang. 30-year-old woman showed up. Kim Ji-ho. Well, 30-year-old woman was supposed to arrive. Never mind. Sorry, got that wrong. 30-year-old woman was supposed to arrive, but Kim Ji-ho arrived. She was 27. Murdered her. Did the same thing. He stole her Avatar watch. Now, I'm trying to figure out what an Avatar watch. I think it's some type of fashion watch. It has nothing to do with Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm very disappointed about that. Just pointing out. There were no water benders involved. So, stole her Avatar watch, which comes into play later on. June 25th. This is the... Well, how many are we doing now? Yeah, like the fourth one in June. Uguyun. Same thing. Fake police ID. Did the exact same thing.
And see, that's a day, like, depending on when he contacted that woman. June 25th, 2004 was a Friday.
Thank you for really looking that up. I was trying to look that up. I was going like, yeah. Oh, I gotta look that up. When was that? Okay, it was a Friday.
Yeah, it was. So if it was, because, considering that he met Kim Ji-ho at 10 p.m., like on the 17th, which would have been a Thursday.
Yeah.
So if he met Uguyun on a Friday, if it was around 10 p.m., that's like Sinchon is just pumping. Even on Thursday nights.
Sinchon, especially at that time. Especially at that time. That was peak Sinchon.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. Yeah. Massively busy. And then Sunday evening. It's
okay. Explain. It is a university area.
Yes.
It's where you go for cheap Korean barbecue and cheap soju.
Yeah, and there were like
fun. It's super fun.
And there were so many almost like institutions for drinking. There was the Woodstock Bar and Rolling Stone Bar and the Doors. They're all named after music festivals or bands from the 60s and 70s. Anyway, but considering that he met these women and he was active in Sinchon, and sometimes meeting them as early as 10 p.m. when it's so active.
Yeah.
It's just terrifying.
I think he was just getting way more confident with his methods. He was really pushing the boundaries of what he could get away with.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, people will talk about how like a forest is frightening because it's dark and you're alone. But you are alone when you're in a crowd as well. If you're moving through a crowd, if there are thousands of people in Sinchon on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, especially in those days, you are alone in a crowd. If you're just walking through Sinchon, no one is looking at you.
Just seeing how close Icarus can get to the sun, or how close he can get to the water.
Right. So it's terrifying to consider these extremely popular places. So this is where all the murders started.
This is really interesting.
Didn't start in a quiet spot. It started in a crowded area.
July 2nd. You're seeing me right now just have a revelation. Yoo Young-chul uses fake police scam again on a 26-year-old woman from a service near Yoksam Station. And while taking her to the office cell, he found out she had the same name as the woman who broke up with him. I just figured this out now. The woman who broke up with him, his ex-girlfriend's name, Kim Mi Young. I had the name in front of me this whole time. I kept calling her girlfriend Kim. It shows you how long I've been doing these notes. I've been doing these notes for like 3 weeks. And they're all separated. It just occurred to me now. Kim Mi-young is the woman who broke his heart. Fuck him. I hope she's okay. But this Kim Mi-young did not do so well. He realized that she had the same name as the woman who broke his heart. Put her up to his hotel, sat her down the toilet, and killed her. And in this case, her face was heavily mutilated. Less than a week, well, around a week. It was exactly a week later, July 9th. Right now, you notice, now they say this is a thing with serial killers, is they get, when the addiction starts happening, the incidents get short. The gap between the incidents gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. So this is becoming like, hey, this is my Friday night thing, is I go and kill a woman. July 9th, Go So-yi, 24 years old, same thing. Then 1 week after that, July 13th, Im Mi-yun. She is the last one. Sit you down there. This is from an article I read. Yoo Young-chul always gave 50,000 won more to prostitutes. Miss Im was happy and put 50,000 won separately and called the owner to confirm it had been deposited. As an oppa, it has been deposited. At that time, Yoo Young-chul heard the owner say, "The customer is waiting in Hwagok-dong, so go straight there." After disposing of Lim's body, Yoo Young-chul drove Lim's car down to Hwagok-dong. So she actually came there in her car. In Hwagok-dong, Yoo Young-chul actually called her boyfriend on her cell phone. He called and he waited 3 seconds. After 10 seconds, he hung up the phone. So the boyfriend just thought she had disappeared. So this is what the links he was going through. He was trying to, each one of his victims, he was just trying to make it look like that when they disappeared, they were just quitting the prostitution industry. And so in this case, he would just call the woman's boyfriend, and just made it sound like she didn't do anything. Well, anyway, it was an alibi he was trying to create.
He's trying to take people off his trail.
Yeah, this is around 4 a.m. He did this in Hwagok-dong. So by this time, this is from September 2003 to July 2004. So 8 months. He had murdered 20 people. There is one story I'm gonna try and track down when exactly this happened. I've not been able to find exactly. But he had murdered a woman and he was in the process of dismembering her in the bathroom when his phone rang. And it was his son. And his son said, "Daddy, do you still have a cold?" And Yoo Young-chul said it was as if his son was saying, "Daddy, I know everything. Don't do that." So Yoo Young-chul later said that he stopped in the middle of cutting up the corpse. And then he decided to cook some ramen. And he ate the ramen while looking at all the pieces of the corpse lined all up in the bathroom all neatly. That's the image I'm going to send you off with this week.
Creepy, man.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yep. It's terrifying stories, but God, just that time, just thinking about how frightened everyone was. Like I said last time, meet my girlfriend at the time, and we were going, like I said, she went to university in Haehwa. We were in Sinchon every weekend. And it was just a terrifying time. Everyone was really, really scared. And one thing that I remember about the media at the time, they didn't reveal, as far as I remember, they didn't reveal that the women all were masseuse. The masseuses. They were kind of like call girls.
They were working in the entertainment industry.
Right. They didn't announce that they worked in the sex industry. And so, as I remember, the police gave a blanket warning to all women to be careful. Don't go out alone. Don't be out after dark.
Mm-hmm.
The police
that would never slow anyone down.
Yeah,
the
police,
coronavirus didn't slow anyone down.
Right. So the police knew, who the women were, but they didn't announce it to the public. So they just gave a blanket warning to everyone at the time. Yeah, frightening times. It's hard to believe it's coming up in 20 years.
Yeah. Advice to everyone listening: don't get old. Yeah, things happen really fast.
Hope I die before I get old. Talking about my generation.
Wow, he ended up living a long time, didn't he?
Well, he's still alive.
Yeah. Anyway. I want to thank our top tier patrons: Angel Earl, Joe Bonamini, Sharon Cullen, Devin Hiffner, Minsuk Lee, Laura Casey, Jane Hargrave, Sarah Ford, Alex Radia, Ryan Barkabal, Ashley Rigby. Point out that our opening and closing music is done by the amazing Sodek-san. You can actually support Sodek-san purchasing the music. He's got so much amazing music based on Korean music. You can get that on Jeju Digital over on Bandcamp, right? Did I say Bandcamp?
Yep, over on Bandcamp. Yep, Jeju Digital. Yep, there's a ton of albums on there. Sorok-san has his albums, and Jeju Digital is the label, which Sorok-san actually runs with some friends, and they release their own music through their own label.
Sorok-san does that. If you want to become a patron and join this crowd, and you actually get early access to our shows and you get extra content. Sean does these amazing extra folklore related little stories every month that you don't get to hear if you're not a patron. And we also do, we give swag. We do monthly hangouts with our top tier patrons. You can start just $5 a month. You get a lot of this stuff. It's just starting $5 a month. And it helps us pay the bills.
Keep the shop open.
It helps me justify doing this to my wife.
It's a little bit ironic because you were saying before how your ex-wife would spend so much time researching missing children, and here you are researching Yoo Young-chul in the last, like, deeply in the last month.
That's why my ex-wife has the hots for me now.
Danger. Back away slowly, Joe.
Dad, did you head far away from that? Don't worry about that. Everyone, thank you for listening. We're going to come back with section 3 when motherfucker gets caught, but you're not going to believe the story behind this. Don't listen to what freaking Wikipedia tells you. It's wrong. I'm going to tell you what really happened. You're going to laugh your fucking ass off about how this loser got caught. It's great. Stick around. Tell your friends about this. And you guys get some drinks and listen to this together. You're going to be effing entertained. Until next time, stay spooky.
Joe's having a meltdown. Good night.